Welcome back to the channel. Now, one thing that has bothered me with the Triumph is colour. There's not enough of it. As you can see, we've got a red tank, side panels in black, front and rear mudguard in black. Not something that shouts me, if you like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and change this a little bit by swapping it up a bit with a bit of colour. Now, I've managed to get on to a paint website and I've put in the Triumph colour that should be associated with bike. Now, luckily, through a mixture of luck and patience, we've been able to find the exact match for the colour, and it is a metallic. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be first colour coding the side panels. So here's what we need to do first. So this is the Street Twin, but it could be associated with the Speed Twin as well. So these decals are put on at the factory. So the panel, as you can see there in black, I think that is all the way through the plastic panel. So I shouldn't have any problems sanding it down and getting it to a nice finish. So first thing we need to do is flat out the lacquer and remove the sticker. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try very gently and very carefully, I can just feel an edge there, to get that off. But I think at the factory what they do is they put the decal on first and then they lacquer it over, so you don't get any wear through on the sticker and you don't get it lifting. So the first thing we're going to do is carefully with a knife, if we're going to try and remove the sticker off the side. Unfortunately, because we've got that much lacquer on the panel, it's proving to be very difficult to get it off in one piece. So I am going to have to try and do this a bit at a time. I'm just trying to lift it and I'm trying to keep it together. So I'm getting a little bit of success, but it's never going to be rapid. So we're on to the last bit, and then we just got this insurance sticker tick off. So as you can see, we've now removed all the paint, all the sticker, and we're just left with the outline. Now what we need to do is we need to break down the edge of where the outline was and try to thin down or remove all of the lacquer that's on the panel. And the only way to do that is with some wet and dry. Now what I'm going to start off with is some 800. And all I'm going to do at the moment is get rid of all the shiny part off this and then sand out the little dip in the lacquer to remove the edge along with the paint. So you can possibly see in this area here, the outline has disappeared now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to get all the glue off. I might use a bit of thinners, but I'm going to try and get all the glue off and all the gloss off here. We need a nice key for that primer and for that undercoat to go on. So as you can see now, we've got that first layer off in the centre. And what I've done is I've rubbed it out around where the sticker used to be, and you can just about see now we've got some lines there. Putting my fingers over the edge, can't feel the lines at all. So if you can't feel the lines, you're not going to see them. So that's basically stage one. So we've got a nice bright day. We've got his aerosol, so we're going to put on that first thin coat of silver. It is a metallic one I'm putting on, so it will help hopefully bring out the colour of that red that we're going to be putting on. But it needs to be that first one needs to be a fairly thin coat, and then we can check if there's any reaction. The black's disappearing. I think we can probably put a little bit more on that recess area, get the edges. Oh, we just got a couple of specks there. You can probably just see them, but they'll come out when we flat it off. So both panels are now silver. They both had two coats on, and when I rub my hand over here, you can probably hear the grittiness. Now I want to try and get rid of that, and the only way I've found is that if we use wet and dry, but this time we're going to be using 1200 wet and dry, or maybe 1000, then we wet and dry that, and what it should do, it should get rid of that scratchy noise, and obviously that will help with the finish, because it's all about the preparation. Everybody says it, and it's true. If you don't prep it right, you won't get a good finish. You get an acceptable finish for some people. So we'll give this a little bit of a go over to try and flatten out and get rid of that noise. And then once we've done that, we should be good to paint it red. So making sure we give a kind of good shape, we're going to start on the edges first. Now we've got the edges covered, we'll start on the face. We're going to work towards that centre section. So we're now on our third coat. As you can see, we've got quite a glossy finish at that, but this will matte off because it obviously needs the lacquer afterwards. So we've now finally got both panels painted. I'm going to leave them overnight, and then hopefully just lightly dust them off, and then we'll apply some lacquer. You probably just see we've got a wet area now, shiny. We're trying to chase that wet and keep it wet but not running wet. So obviously you don't want it to start to run. So I do the edges as usual. Getting that edge. Oh, we've got a nice shine on that. And then we'll go over the centre. Again, we're just trying to keep that dry line wet. So it's been a few days now since we got the lacquer on. It's hardened up, and this has given us a few days for the new graphics to arrive. So we contacted a company called Zen Graphics, who supplied us with the Street Twin logos. There we go. The only thing is, it says Bonneville at the bottom. Not too fussed about that, so all I've done is basically cut the Bonneville section off, and I'm just going to use the Street Twin logo. So we're just going to apply this to the panel. It should be nice and easy. It's just a case of lining them up together. So we'll give that a go first. I'm just going to put it above off center, so we should be able to peel the backing off, or the front as it is. Now they should stay on the front bit of paper as you pull it off. If it doesn't, then you can just simply reapply and re-rub, and that will put it onto the mounting paper at the front. Now I'm doing this by eye, so it might not be perfect. There we go. So the mounting paper is just there to hold the plastic on. Sometimes you've got to rub this on a little bit firmly, just so that the actual stickers will adhere to the plastic and they won't be lifted off when you remove the paper. So it's just being careful as you bring this off. And there we go. So there we go, we've got the graphics applied. They add a silver obviously onto the red, which I think suits it well. So what we'll do now is we'll measure up the distances as where this is, and we'll make it identical on the other side. So I've matched both panels up. As you can see there, we've got the logo on. Now what we're going to do is we're going to leave it a few hours for the glue to go off, and then we're going to lacquer over the sticker and on the panel again, just to ensure that the sticker doesn't come off. But one thing we've got to be careful with is we make sure that anything that we've got on this panel regarding the stickers doesn't start to lift as we apply the lacquer, because sometimes the lacquer will get in behind the glue and start to lift the sticker. So we've got to be careful with that bit. So that next section is just a case of spraying over with a lacquer to seal that in. So we've got the new side panels fitted with the Street Twin logo. Starts to look the part now. Not sure yet if to add some more colour by doing the front and rear mudguard. I think that matches up nicely, so we'll leave that for today, and I'm happy with the results. But like I said earlier, you can do this on any plastic panel, it just takes a bit of time. Right guys, so that's about it for now. We'll see you next time.